The emptiness hits first. Not the kind that comes from an unoccupied house, but the hollow feeling of something irreversibly wrong. My graduation cap dangles from my fingers as I stand in our driveway, staring at the for sale sign stabbed into our front lawn like a knife to the gut. I'm Delilah, and this is supposed to be my celebration day. Instead, I'm facing a deserted house that until yesterday was my home. My prosthetic leg aches from standing too long, but I barely notice it anymore. The pain in my chest is far worse. The key still works. Small mercy, I suppose. Inside, the house echoes with each step I take. The walls are bare, hooks exposed where family photos once hung. The living room, usually cluttered with my sister Brooke's modeling portfolios and mother's fashion magazines, is stripped clean. My phone buzzes. Grandmother Alice's name lights up the screen. "Sweetheart, where are you? We're all waiting at the restaurant." "They're gone." My voice cracks. The house is empty. Silence stretches between us before she speaks again, softer this time. "Come to us, dear. Right now." I need to know why first. I hang up before she can protest and dial Mother's number. It rings 4 times before she answers. "Delilah, darling, isn't today your graduation? I'm so sorry we couldn't make it. We're just swamped here." "Where's here?" The words taste like acid. "Los Angeles, of course. Brooke's agency needed us to relocate immediately. Such an incredible opportunity. You understand, don't you?" My fingers grip the phone tighter. "When were you planning to tell me?" "Oh, we left a note with the neighbors. Didn't Mrs. Peterson give it to you?" "We didn't want to distract you from your finals." A laugh escapes me, bitter and sharp. "A note? I'm your daughter, not a houseplant you're asking someone to water. Don't be dramatic, Delilah. You're always so sensitive. This is about Brooke's career, her future. Besides, you're an adult now. You can handle yourself." Behind her voice, I hear Brooke's laughter, the clink of glasses, celebration sounds. Father's deep voice rumbles in the background. "Is that Delilah? Tell her congratulations." "Your father says congratulations," Mother relays, as if this is all perfectly normal. "Listen, darling, we're in the middle of a meeting with Brooke's new agent. Call me later?" The line goes dead before I can respond. I stand in our gutted kitchen where breakfast conversations once filled the air, where Mother used to fuss over Brooke's strict model diet while absently sliding me cold toast. My phone buzzes again. Grandmother Alice. This time I answer. They moved to Los Angeles. My voice sounds distant, even to myself. For Brooke's modeling career, they didn't even tell me they were leaving. "Your grandfather is coming to get you," she says firmly. "Don't move." I sink to the floor, my prosthetic leg stretched out in front of me. The same leg that Mother always tried to hide in family photos, that made Brooke cringe when we went shopping together. The imperfection in their perfect family portrait, something shifts inside me. A crack spreading through years of trying to earn their love, of making excuses for their behavior. In its place, something darker takes root. They want to pretend I don't exist? Fine, I'll give them something they can't ignore. My phone lights up with a text from Brooke. "Sorry about the surprise move, but OMG, you should see this place. Everything's happening so fast. Love you, sis." I delete the message without responding. Through the kitchen window, I watch the setting sun paint the for sale sign in bloody shades of red. They've made their choice. Now it's time to make mine. Grandfather's car pulls into the driveway, and I rise slowly, steadying myself against the counter. The house keys feel heavy in my palm. I place them on the counter, a final surrender to what was and a first step toward what will be. Let them have their perfect life in Los Angeles. I'll build something of my own. Something so magnificent it will cast a shadow over everything they've abandoned me for. And when I'm done, they'll remember the daughter they left behind. Grandmother's china clinks against the saucer as she sets her tea down. The sound echoes through their sunlit kitchen, where we've spent every morning since I moved in 3 days ago. The familiar scent of Earl Grey can't mask the bitterness in my throat. "Your mother wasn't always like this," Grandmother Alice says, smoothing her napkin. "The modeling industry changed her. Changed them all. Tell me about before." I lean forward, searching for something to explain how a mother could abandon her child without a backward glance. Grandfather George shuffles in, newspaper tucked under his arm. Before Brooke's first pageant, your mother was different, more present. He settles into his chair with a grunt. Then Brooke won that stupid contest when she was 12. The Little Miss Sunshine pageant. I remember, twisting my teacup. Mother made me sit in the audience, said my prosthetic would distract the judges. Grandmother's hand tightens around her cup. I should have spoken up then. Found something you might want to see. Grandfather slides a worn photo album across the table. Inside, yellowed photographs tell stories of a different family. Mother smiling, actually looking at me instead of past me. Father teaching me to ride a bike before the accident that took my leg. What happened to them? My voice catches. Money happened. Grandfather says flatly. Status. Your mother got a taste of the spotlight through Brooke, and nothing else mattered after that. My phone buzzes. Another text from Brooke. Miss you. Mom's got me booked for this amazing shoot next week. Wish you could see it. I switch the phone off without responding. She always acts like nothing's wrong. Because in her world, nothing is. Grandmother says softly. Your sister lives in a bubble your parents created. A memory surfaces. Brooke at 16, sobbing in her room after losing a modeling contract. Mother holding her, whispering, We'll fix this, darling. Whatever it takes. Meanwhile, I'd won first place in the science fair. My certificate still sits in a drawer somewhere, unsigned. I found these too. Grandfather pulls out a stack of papers. Bank statements, credit card bills. My hands shake as I read through them. They were in debt, I whisper. Heavily in debt, but they kept spending on Brooke's career? Your father remortgaged the house 3 times, Grandmother says. All for modeling coaches, photographers, agencies. The papers blur before my eyes. They could have asked for help. Pride, Grandfather spits. Robert would rather abandon his daughter than admit he needed his father-in-law's help. Something cold settles in my chest. Did they ever even look for another option? Before leaving me? Silence answers my question. Grandmother reaches for my hand, but I pull away, standing abruptly. My prosthetic catches on the chair leg, and I stumble. The familiar flash of frustration hits, but this time it's followed by something else. Determination. I need to see my old room, I say. There might be more they left behind. Grandfather's eyes narrow. What are you planning, Delilah? Nothing. The lie tastes like metal. I just need to understand. Later, standing in my childhood bedroom, now grandmother's sewing room, I find what I'm looking for. Hidden behind the radiator, a small notebook. Brooke's diary from when she was 17. Inside, between complaints about diet restrictions and casting calls, there's a confession. Mom says we have to leave soon. Dad's creditors are getting aggressive. But we can't tell Delilah. She'd try to stop us, maybe even tell Grandpa George. This is my only chance. I can't let her ruin it. The diary shakes in my hands. They knew. They planned it. While I studied for finals, they plotted their escape. My phone lights up again. Mother this time. Darling, we should catch up soon. Brooke's being considered for a major campaign. You must be so proud of your sister. I stare at the message. Something shifting inside me. They think I'm still that desperate, lonely girl they left behind. The one who would do anything for their approval. But that girl died in an empty house on graduation day. I text back. Can't wait to hear all about it. Then I open my laptop and start researching modeling agencies in Los Angeles. Every empire has its weak points, even Brooke's. From downstairs, I hear grandmother calling me for dinner. Her voice is warm, concerned. She knows me too well. Coming, I call back, closing the laptop. But not before bookmarking several industry websites. After all, Mother always said knowledge is power. She just never thought I'd use it against them. The email arrives at 3 a.m., forwarded by an anonymous source at Brooke's modeling agency. My hands hover over the keyboard as dozens of messages fill my screen. Correspondence between mother, father, and various creditors. each one more damning than the last. Payment overdue. Final notice. Legal action pending. Then I find it. The email that changes everything, dated 2 weeks before my graduation. Karen, Robert, this is your final warning. Either pay the outstanding balance of $247,000 or we'll be forced to pursue legal action. Your daughter's modeling contracts won't protect you forever. My throat tightens. $250,000 in debt, and they chose to run. Grandmother's footsteps creak in the hallway. It's too early for her to be up, but lately she seems to sense when I'm spiraling. The door opens quietly. More digging? She asks, wrapping her robe tighter. They were drowning. I turn the laptop toward her. Look at these numbers. They could have sold the house, downsized, anything. Instead, they abandoned their youngest daughter? Her voice carries an edge I've never heard before. Your mother always did take the coward's way out. A new email catches my eye. From Brooke to her agent, dated just days before they left. Marcus, Dad's creditors are closing in. Mom says we need that contract now. I don't care what strings you have to pull. That other girl who's up for it? Make sure she doesn't get it. You know what I mean. Just like last time. Last time? I whisper. Grandmother leans closer, reading. Her hand finds my shoulder. There's something else you should see. She disappears, returning with a worn manila envelope. Inside, newspaper clippings from 3 years ago. A young model's career destroyed by drug allegations. Another forced to withdraw from a major campaign after mysterious photos surfaced. Both were competing against Brooke. Grandmother says quietly. Your grandfather did some digging back then. The allegations were fabricated. The photos, doctored. My stomach turns. Brooke did this? With your parents' knowledge. They needed her to succeed at any cost. My phone lights up. Brooke's latest Instagram post. She's at some rooftop party in Los Angeles. Caption reading, Living my truth. Blessed, authentic, authentic. The word tastes like poison. I found something else. I say, pulling up another email thread. Father took out a second mortgage on the house without telling anyone. Used my college fund as collateral. Grandmother's intake of breath is sharp. Your grandfather's savings, the money he set aside for your education. They knew exactly what they were doing. My voice sounds strange, distant. They didn't just abandon me, they stole my future. Delilah. No. I stand abruptly, my prosthetic catching on the chair. This time, I don't stumble. They thought I was the weak link, the damaged one who would just accept whatever scraps they threw my way. My phone buzzes again. Mother. Darling, Brooke just booked a major campaign. Isn't it wonderful how things work out when you follow your dreams? Dreams built on lies and destruction. My fingers move across the keyboard, downloading everything. Evidence of fraud, manipulation, sabotage. A perfect family's perfect facade, crumbling with every click. What are you planning? Grandmother's voice is careful, measured. They wanted success? I close the laptop, meeting her eyes. I'll show them success, but first I'll show them what it feels like to lose everything. Revenge won't heal you, dear. No. I touch the envelope of clippings, but it might save the next person they try to destroy. Morning light creeps through the window as Grandmother leaves, her silence heavy with concern. I open my laptop again, starting a new document. At the top, I type, Project Phoenix, building an empire from their ashes. My phone lights up one last time. Brooke again. Hey sis, you should come visit us in LA. Mom and Dad would love to see you. We could do lunch, maybe shop for some new, accessories for your situation. I screenshot the message, adding it to my growing file. Let them think I'm still their broken little secret, hidden away in shame. They'll learn soon enough. The sun rises fully, painting my room in shades of gold. Somewhere in Los Angeles, my family is celebrating another victory built on lies. They don't realize they've just handed me everything I need to destroy them. I reach for my grandmother's landline. Time to call in some favors at the fashion magazines. After all, Everyone loves a story about fraud in high places, especially when it comes from family. The design sketches blur before my eyes as I work through another sleepless night. Grandmother's sewing machine hums steadily beside me, its rhythm matching my determination. 6 months since I discovered their betrayal, and I've channeled every ounce of rage into creating something they never thought I could. A notification pings. Another order from my adaptive clothing line. The third tonight. You should rest, Grandfather says from the doorway. Success won't taste as sweet if you're too exhausted to savor it. I'll rest when... The words catch as my phone lights up with Brooke's latest Instagram post. She's at a runway show wearing a dress that looks eerily familiar. My dress. My design. What's wrong? I turn the phone toward him. The caption reads, "Exclusive preview of Karen Mills's new adaptive fashion line. So proud of Mom for championing inclusion. Fashion. For all. Hair groundbreaking." My hands shake as I zoom in on the details. The specialized seams, the hidden closures, the exact innovations I've spent months perfecting. All stolen, rebranded under my mother's name. They're watching you, Grandfather says quietly. Have been for a while, I'd guess. A new email arrives from an unfamiliar address. Inside, photos of Mother meeting with my former design professor, dates from months ago. Money changing hands. My original sketches spread across a desk. Your professor reached out last week, Grandfather continues. Wanted to warn you, but was afraid. Seems your mother made quite an impression. The sewing machine's hum turns menacing. Every stitch I've sewn, every pattern I've drafted, they've been tracking it all, waiting to strike. They think they can steal this from me, too? My voice sounds foreign, cold. What are you going to do? I pull up my business plan, the one I've been too cautious to implement. Launch early. Tomorrow. That's impossible. You said you needed 3 more months to... I needed 3 months to be perfect. I start typing furiously. But I don't need perfect. I need first. My phone rings. Mother's number. I answer on speaker, continuing to type. Darling, have you seen the news? Your sister looks absolutely radiant introducing my new line. You must be so proud of us, finally understanding your unique situation. Fascinating timing, I reply, my fingers flying across the keyboard. Tell me, did Professor Martinez give you everything, or just the designs he could price? A pause. I don't know what you're... Check your social media, Mother. Right now. I hit post on my announcement. Introducing Phoenix Adaptive Wear. Because authentic inclusion isn't stolen or imitated. Launching tomorrow. Pre-orders open now. The silence on the other end stretches. You can't, she finally whispers. We've invested everything in this launch. The contracts are signed. Should have invested in better corporate espionage. I attach the photos of her meeting with my professor. These go public tomorrow unless you pull your line. You would destroy your own family's reputation? You mean like you destroyed my future? Stole my college fund? Left me without a word? We did what we had to do, she hisses. For the family. No, for Brooke. Always for Brooke. I watch the pre-orders start rolling in. But here's what you never understood, Mother. I learned from the best how to destroy someone's dreams. You taught me well. The line goes dead. Seconds later, texts flood in from Brooke. What are you doing? Mom's crying. Dad's threatening lawyers. Please don't ruin this for me. Grandfather touches my shoulder. There's no going back from this path. They chose the battlefield. I start uploading my entire collection. Designs, photos, testimonials from real adaptive wear users who've been testing my prototypes. I'm just choosing the weapons. My phone keeps buzzing with notifications. Pre-orders climbing. Fashion blogs picking up the story. Mother's name trending for all the wrong reasons. Your grandmother worries this revenge will consume you, Grandfather says softly. I look up from my screen, meeting his eyes. It's not revenge anymore. It's justice. For every person they've stepped on. every dream they've stolen. I gesture to the orders flooding in. These people need what I'm creating, not some stolen, sanitized version of it. He nods slowly, understanding what I won't say aloud, that in trying to destroy me, they've given me exactly what I needed to destroy them instead. Get some rest, he says finally. Tomorrow's going to be a long day, but I don't sleep. I watch the numbers climb, imagining Mother's face as her perfect plan crumbles. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. Sometimes it's served with a price tag and next-day shipping. The fashion show lights burn overhead as I watch from backstage. My collection, now featured in Vogue, draws crowds I never imagined. But I'm not watching the models. I'm watching the empty front row seat reserved for Brooke. Miss Mills? My assistant hands me a tablet. You need to see this. The headline reads, Top model Brooke Mills checks into rehabilitation facility. Below, grainy photos show my sister, hollow-eyed and rail-thin, being helped into a private clinic. Your mother's representative called to cancel their attendance. My assistant continues. Should we? Keep their seats empty. I hand back the tablet. Let everyone see who isn't here. The show begins, but my phone keeps buzzing. Messages from unknown numbers, all forwarding the same video. Brooke, clearly intoxicated, ranting at a photographer. You think you know pressure? Try being perfect. Try having a mother who... The video cuts off there, but new ones surface every hour. Grandmother's voice cuts through my thoughts. You knew she was struggling. I turn to find her watching me, her eyes knowing. How long have you been here? Long enough to see you choose revenge over compassion. She gestures to the empty seats. Your investigator found those videos weeks ago, didn't you? They deserve to be exposed. Even if it kills your sister? The question hangs between us as applause erupts. My final piece, a wedding dress designed for wheelchair users, glides down the runway. The audience rises in a standing ovation, but I barely notice. My phone lights up again. Father's number. After months of silence, he chooses now. What do you want? Your mother's in the hospital. His voice sounds aged, broken. Stress-induced collapse. The doctors say... He pauses. Brooke's not responding to treatment. They think knowing about your success, watching you rise while she... It triggered something. So this is my fault? The words taste like acid. Not the years of pressure, the impossible standards, the crimes you helped her commit. We made mistakes. Mistakes? I laugh, harsh and cold. You abandoned me, stole from me, and now that karma's catching up, you want what? Mercy? A text arrives from an unknown number, new photos. Brooke in the clinic, wrists bandaged. Mother in a hospital bed, looking small and frail. The timestamp shows they're from hours ago. Delilah, Father pleads. Whatever you're planning next, please. They won't survive it. The fashion show reaches its finale. The audience cheers, photographers' flashes creating a storm of light. Everything I've dreamed of, built from the ashes of their betrayal. Your sister asked for you, he continues. In her lucid moments, she asks if you'll come. To what? Watch her play victim again? To say goodbye. The line goes quiet except for his breathing. I think of Brooke at 4 years old, holding my hand after the accident, before Mother's ambitions poisoned everything. The expose runs tomorrow, I say finally. Everything. The fraud, the sabotage, the stolen designs. It will destroy us completely. You did that yourselves. But my voice wavers. I can't stop it now. You can. His tone shifts, familiar manipulation seeping in. Be the better person. Show mercy where we showed none. The audience is calling for me, demanding their designer take a bow. Grandmother touches my arm. Sometimes, she says softly, the greatest revenge is choosing to be nothing like them. My phone buzzes one last time. A message from Brooke's private number. I'm sorry. For everything. I know it's too late, but I need you to know. You were always the stronger one. The stage manager appears, gesturing urgently. It's time for my triumph, my moment of complete victory. Everything I've worked for crystallized in one perfect moment of revenge. Miss Mills? They're waiting. I look at the empty front row seats, then at my phone. The article is ready to publish with one touch. Years of evidence, perfectly crafted to destroy them completely. Justice served cold and complete, but Brooke's bandaged wrists flash in my mind. Mother's hospital bed. The cost of victory suddenly feels heavier than my prosthetic leg ever did. Tell them, I say slowly. The designer sends her regrets. Family emergency. As I turn away from the stage, I'm not sure if I'm choosing mercy or a more elaborate form of revenge. Maybe, in the end, they're the same thing. The rehabilitation center smells of antiseptic and defeat. I grip my cane tighter, my prosthetic acting up from the stress, as the nurse leads me down a sterile hallway. Mother sits outside Brooke's room, her designer outfit replaced by wrinkled clothes that look days old. She's been asking for you, Mother says, not meeting my eyes. Though I can't imagine why after what you've done. What I've done? The laugh catches in my throat. That's rich coming from you. Before she can respond, Father emerges from Brooke's room. He looks aged, gray hair unkempt. She's lucid right now, but be careful. The doctors say any stress could trigger another episode. I push past them both, entering the room. Brooke lies there, thin as paper, wrists bandaged. The sight hits harder than expected. The prodigal sister returns. Her voice is raspy, unfamiliar. Come to document my downfall for your revenge file? You know about that? I know everything. She shifts slightly, wincing. Your investigator wasn't as discreet as you thought. Mother's been intercepting your emails for months. The room tilts slightly. What? Why do you think we showed up at your fashion show? We knew you were planning something. A bitter smile crosses her face. Always so predictable, little sister. Still trying to prove you matter. My phone buzzes. An urgent message from my assistant. The stock price of my company is plummeting. Breaking news. Fashion empire built on fraud? Anonymous sources reveal dark past of Phoenix adaptive wear. Amazing what a few well-placed rumors can do. Brooke continues. Mother may be in rehab, but her PR team still knows how to spin a story. More notifications flood in. Major retailers pulling orders, partners distancing themselves. Everything I've built, crumbling in real time. You're destroying my company to save yours? No. Brooke's eyes flash with something like the old fire. We're destroying it because you forced our hand. Did you think you were the only one gathering evidence? The only one with secrets? She reaches for her phone, showing me photos I've never seen. Me, meeting with Brooke's former rivals. Bank transfers to private investigators. Emails discussing ways to expose the family's fraud. Taken out of context, it looks like you've been orchestrating a smear campaign against successful disabled models. Imagine the headlines. Bitter CEO sabotages inclusive fashion initiative. The room spins faster. That's not what happened. Truth doesn't matter, Delilah. You taught us that. She coughs, the sound rattling. The story's already spreading. Your brand is toxic now. No one wants to work with someone who'd destroy their own sister out of jealousy. My phone keeps buzzing. Board members demanding emergency meetings. Sponsors pulling out. Years of work dissolving in minutes. Why? My voice cracks. You're in rehab. Mother's reputation is in shambles. You've lost everything. No, we lost things. There's a difference. Brooke's voice turns ice cold. Things can be rebuilt, but you'll never recover from this. Just like we never recovered from what you were planning. The door opens. Mother enters, her face set in familiar lines of disappointment. The press is outside. They want a statement about the allegations. You won't get away with this, I say, but the words sound hollow even to me. We already have. Brooke's smile is ghost white. Check your email. My board of directors has called for my immediate resignation. Major fashion blogs are running exposés on my systematic campaign of harassment. The narrative is perfect, devastating. I stumble backward, my prosthetic catching on the hospital room chair. This time, I do fall. You should have stayed in your place, Mother says softly. Some people aren't meant for the spotlight. As I struggle to stand, Brooke's monitors start beeping erratically. Nurses rush in, pushing us out. The last thing I see is my sister's satisfied smile as chaos erupts. In the hallway, Father hands me a formal letter. The family's lawyers suggest you comply with all demands, for everyone's sake. I lean against the wall, watching my phone light up with more notifications of disaster. They didn't just counter my revenge. They anticipated it, twisted it, and turned it back on me with surgical precision. In trying to destroy them, I gave them exactly what they needed to destroy me instead. And the worst part? They're right. There's no coming back from this. Some victories, it seems, are just prettier versions of defeat. The annual Fashion Forward Gala buzzes with nervous energy. Through the crowd, I spot Brooke holding court near the stage, her rehab stint apparently forgotten. Mother hovers nearby, both of them pretending everything's normal. As if their smear campaign hasn't left my company bleeding. But they don't know about the USB drive in my clutch, or the presentation scheduled for exactly 9 p.m. You shouldn't be here. Father intercepts me, his voice low. Haven't you caused enough damage? Funny, I was about to say the same thing. I adjust my prosthetic, making him flinch. Some things never change. How's the damage control going? Before he can answer, the lights dim. Brooke takes the stage, radiant in a gown that costs more than most people's cars. Tonight, we're celebrating inclusion in fashion, she begins, voice steady despite everything. And I'm honored to announce our family's new initiative. I slip away, making my way to the control booth. The technician recognizes me. We've worked together before. His eyes flick to the USB drive. You sure about this? He whispers. I think of grandmother's warning. Revenge leaves everyone scarred. But then I remember Brooke's smirk in the hospital, Mother's dismissal, Father's indifference. Do it. The screens behind Brooke flicker. Her practice speech falters as images appear. Emails, contracts, bank statements, the evidence I've spent years collecting. What's happening? Mother's voice carries through the suddenly silent room. More documents flash across the screen. Brooke's sabotage of other models, Mother's fraudulent contracts, Father's embezzlement, their perfect facade crumbling in high definition. Security! Father shouts, but it's too late. Brooke stumbles back from the podium as her own words appear. Make sure that disabled model doesn't get the contract. We can't have someone like that representing the brand. The crowd murmurs. Phones record everything. You want to talk about inclusion? My voice cuts through the chaos as I emerge from the shadows. Let's talk about how the Mills family really treats people who are different. Delilah, please. Mother starts, but I cut her off. Please what? Keep quiet? Stay hidden? Like you kept me hidden for years? I turn to the audience. They built their empire on lies, destroying anyone who didn't fit their perfect image, including their own daughter. Brooke lunges for the microphone. She's lying. She's just jealous because what? I pull up her medical records on the screen. Because I exposed your drug abuse, the eating disorders, the models you blackmailed? That's enough. Father tries to reach the control booth, but security blocks him. Different security. Ones I hired. No, it's not enough. My voice remains steady as years of pain pour out. You abandoned me, stole from me, tried to destroy everything I built, but you forgot something crucial. I gesture to the crowd, where dozens of faces I recognize watch intently. Models Brooke sabotaged, designers Mother cheated, investors Father deceived. All gathered here tonight. All part of my plan. I learned from the best how to play the long game. Mother's face drains of color as she recognizes faces in the crowd. Brooke sways on her feet, her carefully maintained composure cracking. You'll destroy us all, Father pleads. No. I move to center stage, taking the microphone. You did that yourselves. I'm just making sure everyone knows the truth. The final document appears, a comprehensive expose, already going live across major news outlets. Everything laid bare. Brooke rushes at me, mask finally shattering. You self-righteous bitch. You think this makes you better than us? No. I catch her wrist before she can strike, holding her gaze. It makes me different from you. That's all I ever was. All I ever needed to be. Security leads them away as reporters surge forward. In the chaos, I glimpse grandmother in the crowd, her expression unreadable. Behind her, the screens display one final image, our old family photo, taken before everything went wrong. Before ambition and perfection became more important than love. The irony doesn't escape me. In destroying their facade, I've finally stepped into the spotlight they never wanted me to have. But as cameras flash and questions fly, I wonder if grandmother was right. Victory tastes different than I imagined. Less like triumph, more like ashes. Then again, some fires need to burn before anything new can grow. The medical report sits unopened on my desk, delivered by grandmother this morning. Through my office window, I watch reporters still camped outside, hungry for more details about the Mills family scandal. The headlines haven't stopped for weeks. My phone lights up with a news alert. Former model Brooke Mills enters long-term care facility. Below, a photo of mother and father leaving their sold mansion, faces drawn and aged. The medical report holds the final piece. The truth I didn't want to see. Brooke's terminal diagnosis, dated months before our confrontation. Stage 4 cancer, hidden behind designer clothes and perfect makeup. She knew she was dying when she goaded me into destroying them. You haven't opened it. Grandmother's voice startles me. She stands in the doorway, watching with those eyes that see too much. Did you know? I suspected. She moves closer, touching the report. Your sister always had a flair for grand exits. The irony twists like a knife. While I plotted revenge, Brooke orchestrated her own final act, ensuring her fall would be spectacular enough to be remembered. My office phone blinks with messages. Investors interested in expanding Phoenix Adaptive Wear internationally. Success built on the ashes of my family's destruction, just as I planned. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. My assistant reminds me through the intercom. I reach for my cane, my prosthetic acting up again, but pause at the medical report. Inside, I know I'll find more than just test results. Brooke never did anything without layers of meaning. She left you a letter. Grandmother confirms my suspicion, said to give it to you after everything played out. The envelope feels heavy with unspoken words. Brooke's handwriting, usually perfect, looks shaky. Dear Delilah, by now you've won. Congratulations, you proved you're stronger than all of us. But here's what you'll never understand. I needed you to destroy us. Mother and father's empire was built on lies, and I couldn't bear watching them destroy another daughter the way they destroyed me. You were always the lucky one. You got out. I got trapped in their perfect prison until it was too late. So yes, I pushed you, manipulated you, gave you exactly what you needed to tear it all down. Because someone had to break the cycle, and you were the only one strong enough to do it. I won't ask for forgiveness. But maybe someday you'll understand that my last act of sisterhood was giving you the revenge you deserved. Tatke Freow. The board meeting reminder chimes again. Outside, photographers snap pictures of our building, documenting the rise of fashion's new inclusive empire. What will you do? Grandmother asks softly. I look at my reflection in the window. CEO, survivor, avenger. The woman I became through fire and pain. Then I pick up my phone and dial a number I never thought I'd use again. Mother? It's Delilah. We need to talk about Brooke's treatment options. Silence crackles across the line before she whispers, Why? Because she's still my sister. I watch a young woman in a wheelchair confidently enter our building, wearing one of my designs. And some things matter more than winning. The doctors say, I don't care what they say, Phoenix Adaptive Wear just signed 3 major contracts. We can afford better doctors. More silence. Then, so quiet I almost miss it. Thank you. I hang up before she can say more. Some bridges can't be rebuilt, but maybe they can be redesigned. Like everything else in my life, it's about adaptation. The board's waiting. My assistant reminds me again. I gather my materials, including the medical report and letter, evidence of victory and defeat, love and hatred, revenge and redemption, all tangled together like loose threads in an unfinished design. Coming, I call back, straightening my jacket. In the reflection, I see traces of Brooke's smile in my own, that Mill's determination that can either create or destroy. Today, I choose to create, but I keep the letter, a reminder that sometimes the greatest victories come disguised as defeats, and the truest revenge might be refusing to let hatred have the final word, even if that word belongs to me.